I think a big part of it has to do with social media and the people around me too. Because when I started my account, I had so many friends being like, oh my gosh, like you're going to blow up. You're going to do so big. And I was like, no, guys, like I'm just me. And the fact that I had people believing in me before I'd even had all this stuff. And then when people were so positive online as well, just seeing that kind of thing, I was like, okay, like maybe I am like a little bit better than the average person at certain things, and that started to build my confidence a little bit more. And it's helped across like all aspects of my life. Like when I enter into a room, I'm more confident. When I'm about to try something that's scary, I'm like, no, like I can do XYZ, like this is gonna be fine. So I think it is like, I would say at least 50% social media has really helped me learn that like I'm capable of so much more than I ever thought.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Athletes Podcast. This is episode 188 featuring Taylor Learmont, also known as Little T Fitness on Instagram. Her and her 1.4 million followers joined us today for this incredible episode where we dive into who she is as a human being, the high performer, the bodybuilder, the gymnast, the cheerleader. She's basically done everything in the world of fitness, health, sports, entertainment. She's jumping on the Raptors court during their championship season. She was an incredible guest for this episode of the Athletes Podcast. I can't wait to hear what you folks have to think. I got to remind you, though, we have an athlete agreement for YouTube and all our other platforms. You just got to hit that subscribe button. You should also consider drinking some Rooted. If you haven't seen Rooted, ROOTD, it's the best supplement on the market. It's vitamins, it's minerals, it's electrolytes, it's hydration. It's providing you with the immunity that you need every single day. Check out rooted.com. Use the code AP20 for 20% off over here. And also, head over to my Instagram page, DaveStark1, for tickets to Toronto Argonauts and Toronto FC games. We also have the opportunity now, because Taylor's in Toronto, we wanted to showcase this opportunity for you folks who consume our content. Get up to 30% off any Argos or TFC games. Without further ado, let's get to episode 188 of the Athletes Podcast featuring Taylor Learmont. Here we go. Yeah, Canadians are not given enough credit. I feel like once that 49th parallel, you've seen a bit of it.
I would say we're underdogs for like a lot of things, but then you see us like at the top for a lot too, and you're like, oh,
right?
Canadians.
CrossFit just happened. Almost all top three male finishers podiuming from Canada. It would have been crazy.
It would have been insane to see. And like the Canadians in CrossFit too for men have been dominating for a while, because Patrick and Brett have been at the top since I started watching CrossFit, which I think was back when Katrin won the first time, which I think was like 2019, 2018 maybe.
Okay.
Oh, 17. Oh, might have been. Oh, that's a long time ago.
You were in like the fitness, health, wellness space, like basically at the beginning of university. That's when you started working out, you said, right?
Yeah, that's when I first entered into the gym, and I had no idea what I was doing, like literally zero.
But you had always been strong with bodyweight calisthenics stuff?
Yeah, because growing up as a gymnast, I was always active and doing stuff. It's just being in like a space of like equipment, dumbbells, and just the intimidation of like other people around you too. Because in gymnastics, you know you're all there for a specific reason.
Right.
But when you enter into the gym, you don't know if this person's training for like a sport or for just lifestyle or just whatever. So you're just kind of like, where do I fit in here?
You're wearing your baggy shirt, just ripping around, trying to just lift up heavy weights.
I actually think when I started in like a dance studio. Like I would take like some dumbbells and a band and just go in a dance studio and just work out by myself, because I was like too intimidated to be on the main floor.
That's how you do your cardio now, isn't it? Based on whether there's an open dance studio or not?
Yeah, that's like, I'm like, okay, is it going to be hard, or is it going to be like an average person cardio where I get to like run, or if I'm going to just like full send?
Yeah, average person cardio, not meaning 6 rounds of 5 backpack burpees, 5 plyo push-ups, 5 straddle presses with 30 seconds of rest.
Yeah, that one. When I did that, when I first said it on the YouTube, I was like, I'm going to do like 15 push-ups. And I was like, no, we're not going to do that. I was like, that's not going to work out today.
You did that at the end of your hamstring workout, those 45 minutes. Do you ever this is asking from a 6-foot+ male who's never performed a backpack burpee in his life, but what is that like for you? Is it back tuck or backpack?
Back tuck.
Oh, it is back tuck.
I know, I heard backpack. I was like, maybe he's just saying it the one time.
Back tuck. Again, neither performed a back tuck nor backpack burpee. Ever concerned about like falling after doing a full workout and then doing that as your cardio session?
A little bit, especially after legs. Like the leg workouts are a little bit shaky. I think if it's quad and glute, that's when I'm a little bit more concerned that like I'm going to land my back tuck and my legs will just be jello. But hamstrings, because it was such an isolated day and it was like super quick, I was like, this is relatively safe. I did modify the last one and just did like 5 back tucks instead because I was like, I am winded. So
Yeah, I was winded watching you, just
Yeah.
just so we're clear, we're on the same page. Taylor Learmont.
Yeah.
Learmont,
Learmont,
whatever, going with the French term or not. Thank you for coming on the Athletes Podcast.
No,
I'm
thanks so much
excited
for having me.
to feature you, share a bit about your story, because it's pretty incredible to have amassed 1.4 million followers on Instagram and have been able to do it smiling the entire time. Like that
Having
on
fun.
that on its own is worth highlighting, because it's not often you see these positive individuals on social media all the time, and it seems like this is just you every single day, no matter what.
Yeah, I was super lucky that what I post and what I've done through my entire fitness journey, people have really liked and enjoyed. And I always tell people the reason why I smile, like, it's not because I'm like, okay, now smile. It's like what I'm doing, I genuinely enjoy, and I'm like challenged every single time. So when I do get my combos and my skills, I'm like, yeah, that was awesome.
So let's go back to maybe square one before you even started touching weights. What got you into gymnastics, calisthenics, just overall human performance movement? Because you clearly have been doing it for a while.
Yeah, I've been doing it since I was, I think, 3.
Okay.
So my mom and dad put me in gymnastics because as a kid, I would just like jump off of stuff, like full send, no padding or anything in my like house. And my mom was like, oh my gosh, this girl is going to literally hurt herself. So then that's when she introduced me to gymnastics. And I've been in love with the sport since I was like 2. And I briefly walked away and did dance for a little bit. And I was like, no. Like, I like the flipping. I like the challenge. I like the slight danger factor. And so gymnastics has been a part of my life since I was literally so young. And I've been able to do it as an adult. And I would think I'm a much better gymnast mover now than I ever was when I was like in my quote unquote prime as a kid.
Interesting. Is that
Yeah.
just because you've built up strength?
I think it's confidence. As a kid, I was a very timid athlete. I was always super scared of everything. I was a very big mind athlete, but now as an adult, I realized like the worst that's gonna happen is like, yeah, I'm gonna fall and like it's gonna hurt, but it's not gonna be the end of the world. When I was a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, like so scary.
I heard in one of your YouTubes that it was like 3 or 4 years ago that that confidence changed. You really, I think you said you found yourself, or like you uncovered more confidence. Was there anything pivotal in that moment?
I think a big part of it has to do with social media and the people around me too. Because when I started my account, I had so many friends being like, oh my gosh, like you're going to blow up. You're going to do so big. And I was like, no, guys, like I'm just me. And the fact that I had people believing in me before I'd even had all this stuff. And then when people were so positive online as well, just being like, wow, like you're so hardworking and like dedicated, and seeing that kind of thing, I was like, okay, like maybe I am like a little bit better than the average person at certain things. And that started to build my confidence a little bit more. And it's helped across like all aspects of my life. Like when I enter into a room, I'm more confident. When I'm about to try something that's scary, I'm like, no, like I can do XYZ, like this is going to be fine. So I think it is like, I would say at least 50% social media has really helped me learn that like I'm capable of so much more than I ever thought.
It's crazy that a competitive dancer for 4 years, varsity cheerleader, nationally ranked gymnast, like that you didn't have that confidence prior to kind of that social media, maybe like stepping stone of getting to that next level. When you're going through that, is there any moments that you're like, oh, I wish I didn't have to share all this online?
Like share my journey and stuff?
Yeah, share what you're doing. Is it difficult?
No, I think it's actually really fun to share your journey online. I think, especially on days like I pop up my stories all the time being like, yo, like today I don't feel like going to the gym. And I think that's good because other people who are in the same position as you, it's nice for them to see that like, oh, someone who loves fitness, like loves it, and my entire life is fitness. Even she struggles to get herself there sometimes. So it makes me more relatable, and it's good because I get to help someone in their journey. Even if it's just one person. Like I've always said that with my social media, regardless of how big it ever got, as long as one person liked my post, learned something, felt like they connected in some way, like that is the most important thing to me.
Yeah, I resonated with that just going through doing the research yesterday. I was like, I need to go work out. Phoenix is like, I could tell I get like a little switch that goes off. I'm like, I need to get some movement in my body. And like after seeing you, it motivated me to get out, try new things. How do you come up with new moves? Because I feel like all the time you're pushing the limits with your body, what you're capable of. Are you seeing what other people are doing online, trying to emulate? Are you just going around messing around in the gym trying to do some different flips? Like,
yeah,
what's
I would say it's like a mix, because
Okay.
I definitely have a lot of people who I look up to online where I'm like, wow, like they move so well and controlled, like I want to try their movement, but then I also still try to, like I call it a little T-twist, like add something of myself in there too. And so it's definitely looking at other people's profiles and getting motivated, inspired by them. But sometimes I'm literally like driving in my car and I'm like, I wonder if this move I could connect to this move, and like how could I do it? And then I come up with the idea and I'm like, Kate, let's go film it. So sometimes it's just me thinking when I'm just like, this seems like it would be worthwhile to try. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, it's just having fun with it.
Who are those people that you look up to online?
Oh my gosh, so many. So there's Morgan Rose. She was like one of the first athletes I ever followed on Instagram, because she just like had such beautiful handstands. I was like, wow, like her balances are so amazing. And then there's calisthenic athletes, literally so many. I'm trying to think. There's Warren out of LA, my friend Austin A. Dottie. In terms of like strength partner wise, I've done really cool things with Josh Bailey. In terms of like mobility, there's this guy, I don't know his Instagram handle for sure, but it's like but he does like this really cool like leg flare into like the dragon, and it makes it look super cool, and I'm like, wow, like that's mobility goals too. So regardless if it's like handstands, flips, strength, there's just so many people to look up to online.
Yeah, given that it is Mobility Monday, do you have a favorite mobility exercise, or are you always trying to push like what you're capable of doing with your body too? Because some of the positions you're able to get into are wild, and I just dream one day being able to do half of that. But like every single Monday, is that your routine, or is that something you just came up with?
I came up with, I think I've been doing Mobility Monday now for at least 2 years or a year and a half. I randomly just did it like outside. I was like, oh, this, because I'm really bad with captions. So I was like, Mobility Monday. That sounds flowy. That sounds good. And I just started doing it over and over again each Monday, and now people expect it. It's not necessarily the routine that I do that day, because I usually pre-film everything.
Okay.
But in terms of my mobility routines, I always try to incorporate different aspects, like doing a beginner level versus a really advanced, so that way more people can do the challenges, and like it motivates someone to get up and try something, because when they see it, they're like, oh, I bet I can do that. And so my favorite mobility move is probably the dragon pistol. It's like, it's one of my most viral videos, and it's one of the ones that everyone looks at and it's like, wow, that's really cool. And it's also the first mobility moves that I tried myself that I was so bad at. Like, it took me a long time. I remember going to a Calisthenics meetup, and my friend Jared did it, and I was like, yo, like, how do you do that? And he's like, oh, you just do it. And I was like, what? And so I spent probably at least 2 or 3 months before I got it to a point where I wasn't messing up and taking an hour to like get just one rep. And so now that I can just do it on demand, is like, that's one of my favorite skills.
Talk to me about the fact that it takes you an hour just to get that kind of routine figured out, when all people see on social media is the finished product.
I know, they just see the 15 seconds, the 12 seconds.
That's got to be, as rewarding as it is to have all the positive like recognition and accolades afterwards, it's got to be a difficult thing to wrap your head around, because all these people think is just you can do anything all the time. And hey, there's a lot of hard work and effort that goes in behind the scenes. Yeah,
absolutely. So that's why I like in my stories to post on my bloopers. Again, it's that relatability factor that people are like, okay, good. Like, she's not just like this random person who can do everything first try. And I do like the bloopers because like I get to see myself in a training environment, and like I make the funny faces. I get frustrated and people see that. And so I think that's like one of my favorite parts of my Instagram, is being able to show the process, that sometimes it takes me, one time I think one of my videos took me 3 days. I was so frustrated. And then I ended up using one of the takes from the first day.
Do you have anyone helping you with all of your social media efforts? Like, because you're all over the place. Is it just a one-man band here? One-woman band? It used to be for a long time. Okay. And then I recently brought on a video team, probably a year now, that we've been working consistently together, where we batch a bunch of our content, and we meet 4 times a month. But I still do a lot, like I'll do YouTubes here and there on my own still, and then I'll do some of my like quick reels on my own as well. But for the longest time, like it was me just filming, editing. Like I think when I first started, I would literally go to the gym at 8 p.m. I knew I had to post by 9. So I was like, okay, we got to get this video, because if we don't, I have nothing to post today. But now I'm a planner. Not so stressful anymore. Yeah. Well, I think it's important for people to realize, like, despite where you are now, there's a lot of effort, hard work, blood, sweat, and tears that went into the past 5 years, 10, 15, to just get to that point. And like, everyone just sees the final image without all of that foundation previously. And I think you brought it up earlier, but the calisthenics community probably played a part in that as well.
Yes, absolutely. The calisthenics community, I say this all the time, I love the calisthenics community. It's one of the best groups of people you will ever meet in your life. Like,
What makes it? Is it the pursuit of effort? Just like everyone in a raw state of just like, hey, this is your body. This is what you got to work with.
yeah, I think everyone, when you go to the meetups, everyone is in this mindset of like being open to learning and knowing there's so much more. And they're also so passionate about it as well. Like they're willing to help teach other people, listen to other people, compete against each other, and have like genuinely like friendly competition where it's not just like hardcore, I'm going to beat you, you know, and everyone's uplifting and cheering. And whether you go up and you do like a tuck leg raise, like one of the most beginner calisthenic movements, you will get the same height, same support as someone who does like a flying 360 shrimp flip. You know what I mean? Like, it's the people will support you at no matter what level you're at. And I think that's what makes the community so unique, is because no one's there with big egos. No one's there trying to tear other people down. It's like we're all just there to like love the sport and love each other and just have a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so cool. Let's talk about Laurier, because I feel like that was a pivotal moment.
I love Laurier.
Yeah.
I'm a proud Golden Hawk.
I was going to say the Golden Hawks, everyone loves them. Phoenix was put into gymnastics at a young age. Same reason. She was climbing around shit, doing all this stuff. And like her mom's like, okay, we need to get this girl some places.
Padding,
yeah.
protection.
So Laurier, obviously you guys were connected there. Mickey as well reached out. But like, what was that experience like going to Laurier for 4 years? You win MVP for the cheer team in your 4th year, like as the top varsity cheerleader, I believe, MVP, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Take us through those 4 years, university, what it was like.
So Laurier, I actually wasn't. There was 2 auditions. There was a cheerleading audition and the dance team audition, and I was like, well, the cheerleading one's coming first. I'll just do that one. So being on the cheer team was kind of like a happy accident, just timing wise. And again, it was one of the best things that I probably did, because it gave me structure being there as an athlete. You know, you had practice at a certain time, and you had like a group of friends, guaranteed type thing. So it made me feel a little bit more secure in that environment as well. And then I just loved going to the football games, like the sideline. That was my favorite thing in the entire world. Like I loved being able to cheer to the audience, cheer on my friends who were like actually playing. And then in terms of the actual like first year to my 4th year, first year I won Rookie of the Year. Or no, actually no, I didn't. I won Most Improved. That's where it is. So most improved usually means like you're pretty not good.
Grade 8 volleyball, most improved. No big deal.
Right? So you go from being like, oh, you weren't very good, to my 4th year being MVP. That was a huge growth moment for me, because again, when I first started cheer, I was terrified to be in the air. And of course, I'm only 5 foot, 100 pounds. So of course I'm going to be in the air. And so I was terrified. And then through those years, I gained confidence and, you know, a little bit more skill. And then I was able to pull off MVP. So that growth in myself was really cool to see.
What's it like being tossed up in the air?
Oh, it's terrifying. I will never do it again. I hate going up in the air. Like, if someone was like, we're going to throw you in a basketball, I'd be like, no, you're not.
So no future plans to do that for like a professional team if they ever offered?
Never.
No?
I did recently do acro yoga with like Acro James.
I saw that. That's why I was asking.
Loved that. That
Okay.
was really fun. But James is also one of the best spaces in that industry. So I was like, I trust you with my entire life.
Yeah.
But if someone's like, here, go join this team, I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah, like I have a Acro James here as my +1 wherever I go.
He's my base, so he's going to be with me for everything.
Yeah, probably a good base to have.
Yeah.
Is there like favorite people to collaborate with? I know you just mentioned James, a couple others earlier, but like some of the videos you're able to create with other acro calisthenics athletes are crazy. Your favorite ones to actually do, like you said, the dragon pistol squat, like.
Yes. Okay. So one of my favorite collabs, I think, is me and Josh, where I'm like, Josh is like 200 plus pounds, and I'm like muscle holding him like this. And like, that was one of the cool ones to do, because I pitched that idea to him and he was like, Taylor, no way. Like, I'm massive. And I was like, no, we got this. So that one was one of my favorites. A Dottie and I have done a bunch of them in LA, where we're like on that Topanga hike with the graffiti. That was really fun, because again, it was like, the thing about collabs is being able to like build relationships and friendships. So being able to hang out with people for a little bit before actually making the content and going straight to the work aspect is really fun. Same thing with Morgan. We were in BC. We did some really cool pistol squats and handstands, but we did like a hike all the way up a mountain. Yeah. So things like that I really like, where you actually get to spend time with the other creators and get to know them as people, and then you guys get to have fun and like make content.
Yeah, I told Phoenix we'll do the podcast first, then we'll start doing a bunch of flips. So afterwards,
we'll get you pistol squatting.
Yeah. Is that because that's the only thing you think I can do?
No, I think you could do a handstand.
I could, with some support, that's for sure. How much do you think dance helped you throughout this process? Because you said dance team was right after. I know you were dancing previously. Like, it all plays a role in like how you've been able to become this like incredible, well-rounded athlete, I'm sure.
Thank you. I think dance has helped because it's the artistic piece of it, like how it all looks together. Because I know like gymnastics piece of me when I do all my skills is the straight arms, the pointed toes, straight legs, and I like seeing that. And then obviously the more like brute strength stuff comes from the bodybuilding calisthenics side. And then the dance is kind of just a whole picture of it coming together, like looking exactly how I want it to look. And I'm the kind of person where I'll redo a video if like my toe just like is slightly like crooked and I'm like, that aesthetically does not look good.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I think that's where the dance kind of comes in, just like the overall flow of how the video looks.
Right. Makes sense. And then how good does it feel wearing Vanquish gear while you're doing all these incredible feats?
I love it. It's one of my new partnerships that I have, and they've been absolutely amazing in terms of just like supporting me as an athlete. I know when they onboarded, they were like, we just want to help support you. And I think as athletes, that's as like, obviously there's monetary stuff involved, but you always want to work with brands who like believe in you as an athlete, who want to like help you as a person and not just like the other side of the whole like business part of it. So being a part of such a great team that has been so welcoming, and even with like the time difference being in the UK, like they're unbelievable to work with. They're so great.
Are there negatives to the social media now? Because I'm sure you talked about all the positives at the beginning. Do you have to deal with the haters? Do you have to deal with people questioning what you're doing? Like,
I think so. So overall, I'm very, very fortunate that I don't have a lot of haters on my Instagram. Sometimes you'll get the random comments, but I'm kind of in this, because I've been in the industry for so long, I'm just like, I'm going to say whatever I want back. Where like, it's not that I'm being mean back, but I'll say things where I'm like, hey, like, are you doing okay? Like, do you need a hug? Like, if someone's like saying something mean, because you're like, obviously something's, wrong with you a little bit if you're going to be hating and you can just scroll. So I think now that I've been in the industry longer, I'm okay with being like a little more cheeky with my replies, whereas before I would be like try to explain the whole thing and like, but you don't really need to explain yourself to anyone on Instagram. It's like, it's your Instagram, it's your platform. If people don't like what you're sharing, you can just simply scroll. And I think that takes a long time for creators to learn, because we just want to please our audience. And as much as like, and everyone always says like, you can get 100 great comments, but that one bad comment, like, don't focus your attention on that. Give them like a little sassy reply if you want to, like I do, or you can just ignore it altogether.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been reluctant to share as much, because I, receive some of that occasionally. But it's like, I heard yours yesterday talking about it, and I was like, man, I'm putting this out there for people who actually want to improve their health, improve their wellness, improve their fitness, become a better athlete. I'm not putting it out there for those negative Nancys that are online.
Yeah. And those people, like, I always wonder, because I don't know what it is when you see something that you don't like, for someone to like go and comment.
They're in such a negative spot.
I'm just like, damn, like you need, like, I don't know, a journal or something. Something to write your thoughts in or something, because the fact that you're online sharing something that's so negative when everything else on Instagram typically is pretty positive. You know what I mean? Like, most people are sharing little bits of their life, just trying to create a positive environment. So it's unfortunate that some people are haters, but at the same time, it's interaction. So
engagement.
It's engagement.
What was your environment like growing up? Were your parents pushing you after the age of 3 to continue in gymnastics? Did you play other sports?
Yeah, so I just really, really like gymnastics, and my parents like will support anything I do. My sister did horseback riding. My other sister did like voice and tennis. I was the only one who really did like acrobatic stuff, and they were super supportive with it. They were just like, yeah, if you want to continue with gymnastics, great. And then when I said, oh, I'm not as happy anymore, they're like, okay, what else do you want to do? And like, they were completely open to it. They were never like, no, like, just stick it out, do it until you love it again. They were very flexible. Like, I even tried circus camp, and I did not like circus camp. That one scared me. So I did it for 2 days, and they're like, you don't like it? Cool. We'll just, if you don't feel safe, we'll do something else. So my parents have always been very supportive of whatever I do.
Can you tell me what you did in circus camp?
So my circus camp, it was supposed to be beginner level, but because I had a gymnastics background, the teacher was like, let's get her on the trapeze and like have her do this flip, and then I'll like flip her upside down and whatever. And I was like, sir, like, I'm like 6 years old.
I was gonna say, how old are you?
I'm terrified. And so he did a flip with me, I think, and I did like a front tuck, but then like he over-rotated me, or I shouldn't say that, I over-rotated myself. And I just,
extreme ownership there.
I just ate it to my face, and that was like, I'm good, I'm done. That's it for circus camp.
You're like, I'm gonna stick to bodybuilding competitions now.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm out of this space. Go give me a dumbbell.
Yeah. Well, okay, big jump from 6 to mid-20s now, but you are competing in a bodybuilding competition upcoming.
I'm in prep.
Yeah, 12 weeks out, 15.
No, we're 8 weeks, 6 days.
I was like,
8 days. I'd be like, I need to go home.
I'm like, you're doing this right now with way more energy than I would expect. That's because of the rain, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Rain Energy, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I actually do have one of these like every day, especially now because I'm surviving off of less than 100 grams of carbs a day.
That's crazy.
It's tough out here.
Yeah, you're just ripping caffeine. It does help, little appetite suppressant, a couple amino acids in here thanks to Rain Energy, Liam Gummo, and the White Gummy Bear team. What is that prep like? Less than 100 carbs. What's your protein intake look like? How about fats? And then how do you feel?
So my protein is 160, fats is 105, but we recently just took away a rice meal, so now it would be less than 100. And then my fats are 38. So I'm like eating like
1,400 calories?
A little
like
bit
that?
under 1,400 calories, which like that's not a lot of food.
No.
And so I have to really space it out properly. So I do have to make sure that my higher carb meal that I do have is right before I work out, because otherwise it's like it feels like I'm in the trenches. It's hard. Overall though, because I have like a relatively flexible schedule, I would say that I am pretty good at being able to create a space where like I'm not super tired. I can take the naps where I need to. I can kind of like fuel out my meals better. I would say this is probably the most mentally challenging thing I've ever done. Because the fitness thing, I tell everyone, like I can go to the gym, I can work out, I can do the cardio, I can do the flips. It's the regiment of the diet and not being able to go eat out with your friends, eat out with your family, or just like when you're on the road and it's been a long day and you're like, shoot, like I really just want to grab like a really quick wrap. That's like still relatively healthy, but it's not in my macros, it's not in my prep. I have to go home and eat plain chicken and vegetables.
Yeah.
So it's a little tough.
It's the grass is always greener on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're not in prep, you have all this flexibility, you can eat whatever you want, but there's no routine, there's no structure. And then you go to the other side of the spectrum in prep.
Yeah.
Everything's routine, you know exactly what you're eating, and it's bland garbage food sometimes, and you're like, I got to get through this. Mentally, to avoid that like crash at the end of the 8 or 12 weeks now, how do you, because this isn't your first show.
Yeah, this would be my third show technically, because I did my regional and my national, and this would be my pro debut.
Trying to get that pro card. So what lessons have you learned from those first two shows to ensure that you stay healthy, stay positive? Because obviously that's, you know, who you are.
Yes, I would say my first time I did it, we did macro plan, which was a little bit harder, honestly, because like I was the one creating the meals. And so sometimes I just found it difficult to like level everything out where it all made sense. This time around, we are doing a strict meal plan, and I do think that's honestly easier for me mentally to just go in and do routine and just know what I'm eating, and I don't have to think about the meals, which takes one less step away from me, which is really nice. And then overall, I think what's going to be the hardest part is coming out of it on the other side, which is like the coming out of like the strict dieting, the what is it called? Reverse dieting.
Yeah.
That's going to be hard because you feel like you deserve to eat everything in the world. And you're like, you got to rein it in a little bit. And so for me, I think, I don't know what that's going to be like until I get there. But I think now that I'm older and I know how bad it was back then, I'll be more strict on myself now. Because back then, that's when kind of like that triggering like bad relationship with food came in. Because I would feel so bad that I wasn't following my macros, that I wasn't counting anymore. And I would just eat food. And then I would like hate myself. And it wasn't necessarily that like I gained like a stupid amount of weight or anything like that, but it was just the fact that my overall like body image changed, my relationship with food changed, and like that like little tornado of terribleness just was really bad. So I think this time around, now that I've been through that, it'll be a lot easier because I'll know like how terrible that was.
It's a vicious cycle.
It is. And then once you're in it, it's really, really hard to get out of it.
And people don't realize the impact, like the negative impacts that doing a bodybuilding show can have, because they think, oh, this person's up on stage, they're ripped, they're in incredible shape, when sometimes those people actually have the worst relationships with food. And even just like you said, the rebound after, the reverse diet is so integral, and people don't do it well, and then they end up gaining a ton of weight back. They have bad relationships. So I'm glad to hear
yes,
that won't be it for you.
It won't be it. I think too, another part of it at that time, I was in a different financial state as well. So knowing that I had to like, I just paid for prep, I paid for all my competitions, and being like, oh, now you have to pay for reverse dieting. I was like, do I need to? Like, can I make way? But I'm in a better financial position now where I don't mind spending the money, and I do see the importance of it, especially because I've been through it. And I think after talking to a couple of my friends who were also amateur bodybuilders at the time too, they said the exact same thing. They were like, honestly, it was a money saving thing. I had just paid so much money, and as an amateur, you don't make money. So it's just kind of like, where can I save? And unfortunately, we think that's a space where you can, when it's like, it's not a space where you can.
Yeah, it's actually like probably where you should be allocating as much of your funds as possible. Like,
Yeah.
you can probably speak to the benefits of properly fueling your body.
Yeah, because you honestly feel like not only do you feel bad about yourself because of how you look and what you've done to yourself, but you also feel bad because you know you're not energized. So like your actual like insides are not feeling good too. It's not just like your mental. It's like everything just kind of feels like it's spiraling.
Yeah, your gut is actually like your second brain.
Yeah.
And it like what you're throwing in there directly impacts how you're feeling, your performance.
Yeah, your energy levels, how you sleep, everything like that.
Is there stuff that you avoid or include in your diet? I know you're a Transparent Labs athlete.
Yes.
What are you consuming as far as nutrition supplements are concerned?
I take a multivitamin. I take vitamin C, vitamin D, a fish oil, a fat burner, but that's only because I'm on prep. And then I also have my protein powder, creatine, glutamine, and L-tyrosine.
Nice.
Are my main ones. And magnesium to help me sleep at night.
Yes.
Magnesium like changed my entire sleeping. I was like, wow, this is so nice.
I concur because I dealt with the same thing, and it does make a big difference. Here's something that I'd love your opinion on. Ooh. Because females are constantly concerned about the fact that they are going to get bulky if they work out.
Yeah.
And this is a big pet peeve of mine because females will not get bulky. No one will get bulky from working out a couple weeks, a couple months. It takes years, specific diet.
Yep.
How do you feel? How do you reply to women that ask, I don't want to get bulky or avoid getting bulky? I want to get lean.
I hate that. I want to be toned. I hate that one so much. But in terms of like when people say like, oh, I don't want to get too bulky, I'm like, let's break it down. For me, I've been working out for how many years? I pay attention to what I eat, and I'm still not bulky. And I'm trying to get bulky. That's the thing. Like I remember on my bulk, we did, I think just a mini bulk, like 8 weeks. I still didn't get big. Like the muscle mass was not crazy. And I was like, I was eating like 2,400 calories, training the specific way for it for a long period of time. And I still didn't get that way. And I was like, so if you're someone who's new to the gym and you're picking up light weights, not following a routine, going maybe 2-3 times a week for 35 to an hour, and you're not paying attention to what you eat, I was like, there is literally no way that you're going to get bulky. Because there's so many of us who are purposely trying to, and it takes years for that bulk to happen. Yeah. It's not just, lift a weight and you're bulky, because otherwise we'd all be jacked.
Right? I'm so glad you shared the same opinion, because even, like, I am a big advocate for creatine, both the mental benefits, physical benefits, performance, etc. Be like, oh, I don't want to take that. I get even bulkier. It's like, okay, it's actually going to help you potentially lose some weight, increase your performance. I struggle trying to, because I'm not a female.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, hey, I don't have your body, so I can't speak to exactly how it works. But I've seen and communicated with enough individuals over the past 4 years that I can guarantee you, if you lift weights 3 times a week, you're going to be just fine. Yeah. And if anything, even if you add muscle, you're going to reduce the amount of fat on your body, which is going to make you look more, quote unquote, toned, which is what everyone's looking for.
Yes. And it's like people don't realize that. Like they're like, oh, I'm going to get big and muscly. I'm like, no. You're just going to have more shape to you, which is going to give you that toned look that you're looking for, where you have like nice arms and shoulders. Like I know so many women who want nice shoulders, but they won't touch a shoulder press. They're like, no, that's going to make me huge. I'm like, I press 50s and my shoulders are still not capped, okay? Like,
do you press 50s?
Yeah.
Holy.
Like my pressing strength, not to like toot my own horn, is pretty good. Like I chest press 75s and I shoulder press 50s. I bench 165 for my rep range. So I'm like, I'm strong, but my arms are not like, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are some legit numbers.
I know. I do flex my pressing numbers. Don't ask my pull-up numbers. They're not as high.
Well, I mean, that doesn't even matter. You can still do 1,000,000 pull-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. Good for you. Have you always had that pressing strength?
I think so. I've talked to a couple of gymnasts who have now transferred into the weightlifting world, and they said like most of us do pretty well in pressing movements.
Yeah. I mean, when you're having to literally pick your body up with just your two
arms.
Hands, yeah, it makes sense. There's a lot of stability muscles in there that people who are just in the gym don't train and don't see the benefits of working, right?
Exactly.
That's why I think like calisthenics alongside actual weight training, resistance training, probably with isometric training as well, shout out to Brad Thorpe, like is important in everyone's lives, because you are the testament to probably the most well-rounded athlete.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think like overall, if you're able to, bench press 165, whatever plus, you're not just physically able to push those things, you're just manipulating your body in so many different ways. Is there anyone that you looked up to when you were a kid that was like, oh, I want to be like her or him?
So I think when I was in the fitness world, I looked up to a lot of CrossFit athletes. Like I love Sarah Sigmund's daughter. She's like my favorite CrossFit athlete ever. And I also like Katrin as well. Yeah. And they just, again, they looked like such strong and like beautiful females too. Like they were still feminine. They were still strong. They were great. And then in terms of, I guess, calisthenic athletes, honestly, one of the OGs, like Chris Horea, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He's really cool because he looks like a very strong guy, but he just does all body weight stuff. So I feel like that's something that pairs so well with like everyone in aesthetics. They just assume you have to do the bodybuilding route, but it's like calisthenics can also very much build your body just the same. So especially during the time where none of us had gyms, it's like, oh, like this is a perfect time for calisthenics to like make its comeback.
It totally, and I think it did. Like,
yeah, everyone loves calisthenics now. I know so many people who like never even thought about it. They're like, yeah, I do dips, I do pull-ups, I do a bunch of stuff, and I was like, wow, this is good, this is great.
Yeah, you mentioned the big four for calisthenics are the squat, the pull-up, dip, and
then
your
push-up. Yeah.
And those are like, if you get those four, then you can kind of have your foundation for your calisthenics journey.
Yeah, I would say once you have those four, that's when you kind of branch out and do the more advanced things. And I do think calisthenics is so important because if you can't move your own weight, it's going to be really hard to try to go really heavy with other weight. It's not that you have no business of moving other weight. Because I know some people are like, oh, if you can't lift your own weight, you can't lift other weight. But it's like someone who's 300 pounds, it's going to be really hard for them to do a push-up. You can't expect them to never do any dumbbell work until they can push themselves up. I think it's really important just to pair the two. So again, you get those core stability muscles, all little stabilizers in your body working. So that way it makes the dumbbell stuff easier and safer.
Yeah, that's the safety aspect is important too, because people will push the limits if you can't control your own body, like you said, you have no right throwing around additional weight. I'm looking at your socks. Are you a Jordan fan?
I just like these socks in particular. I don't know why. They're just like the quality of these socks are immaculate. They're like the perfect thickness and softness. And because I do everything in socks, I need them to be like, not necessarily like sticky, but I need to have some traction on like the carpet that I train on. And some socks, I slide. And so these ones just have not done that. So these are my perfect socks. I love these socks.
Okay. The little Jordan brand. Well, I might have to hook you up with some Outway socks from Rob Fraser.
Oh, he's got his own socks.
He started his own. It's like $100 million brand now. Yeah, they have some good socks too.
Yeah,
they fit really well.
I do love socks. They are my brand. The white socks. I've been wearing them since ever.
They make some legit ones. We'll get you some of those sent. We'll also get you our ice shaker, or the Athletes Podcast ice shaker that we have with Chris Gronkowski.
Yes. Okay.
So we're gonna get you one of those, and Rooted. So it's like a multivitamin, but it also provides immunity, electrolytes, and hydration.
Ooh.
So it's a little all-in-one.
It's an all-in-one. That sounds good. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, they're from Manhattan Beach, little California company as well. So Adams Chimera, it's legit Rooted. It's like more affordable athletic greens.
Okay.
Yeah, good little options. But we're talking about brands. I mean, you drink one rain a day. You're wearing your Vanquish gear. What else do you do? Like, you've got your Hoka. As far as training, are you running all the time as well on those?
No, I just like these because I wanted a white clunky shoe, you know? Like, I'm not a runner. I'm not a track star. I am much a cycler. I will be on the spin bike all day long. But to run, I don't particularly enjoy it. And I'm also not a good runner. Like, I'm sure you've seen my YouTube videos of me running with straight arms. Not a good look, so I try not to do that very often.
Hey, it works for, like, Andre DeGrasse, so...
Yeah, that's true. It could be my calling, but
it's all we're saying. The Canadians are still capable of doing lots of incredible things.
Yes.
Jeff Adler just won the CrossFit Games. Pat Vellner came second, and then Fitkowski came in fourth. Like, Canadians, we got to do a better job about highlighting what we're doing, because I think we're humble, we're like caring as a nation, but we don't like to pump our own tires. Like you said, you didn't even want to toot your own horn when it comes to all of your incredible pressing abilities. Like, why is that? Why are Canadians not capable of sharing what we do?
I feel like we're all just like, I think you said it, like, we're just all too polite, I think. And I feel like because there's certain countries out there that are like, we are the best, like, we're the best. Like, I feel like we feel shy to be like, yeah, we're good too. You know what I mean? Because that's how I feel like as an athlete too, when it comes to, like, there's so many well-known people in the United States and like across, like, in Europe and stuff. but you'll never hear the calisthenic athletes in Canada who I know are like friggin' strong. They'll be like, oh no, like the European athletes are amazing. And I'm like, well, so are you. Like, you are also amazing.
Yeah.
So I think we just like to stay a little more quiet, humble. But I think that also works to our advantage because we're very unassuming. So we come in and then we're like, we're so good.
Just mic drop.
Just boom, we're here. We're Canadian.
Where has been the favorite place for you to travel, do your competitions, be able to like collaborate with people, because it's taken you all over the world?
Yeah, I would say so. My favorite place to go in terms of collaborations and like hanging out with people is definitely LA. That's where a majority of my friends are. I would never live in LA, so it's not my favorite place to be. My favorite place I think I've ever visited would be Arizona, actually. I really liked Arizona. I went there in 2019. And I just like the hiking out there. I like the dry heat. And so eventually my goal is to move out to the States part-time and just live out in California when it's all wintry and cold here, because I hate the cold. Yeah.
We're going to be in LA in a week, so we'll be probably chatting with a couple of your friends down there.
Yeah.
But you bring up Toronto. I know in one of your videos you mentioned that you don't love the city when it's wintry, cold, etc.
I hate the winter.
There's pros and cons, though. I think like there's a lot of people here. Obviously, there's a ton of like allows for more collaborations. You got your gym up in Richmond Hill. Obviously, Good Life. Shout out to them. I believe you're a member.
Good Life and Fitness Connection. I'm both at, so I like both of them.
What's the deciding factor between where you go for each one? Because everyone has like maybe if I'm trying to get after it, I go to this one, and then if I'm trying to take it easy.
I would say Good Life is my like social gym. It's the one that a lot of my friends have memberships to, so it's easy for me to meet up with my friends, go work out with them.
Okay.
And then Fitness Connection is the one where I can just like buckle down and get my workout done because it's a little bit less busy, and the equipment there is all really good. Like they have a really good hip thrust, so you don't have to do the annoying setup or anything like that.
Okay.
And just it's more people just let you do your own thing there. Like no one stops you and says like, oh, hey, how's your day going? Like it's very much just like in and out. And I can be efficient, I can be hardworking, and that's like where I go down for my serious workouts. Good Life is great, but it is more social for me. Like I tend to have like slightly longer rest breaks because I'm talking to my friends, or like I'll prolong my workout a little bit more just because I know it's a commercial gym, so it's never gonna like they're open 24 hours, so I can just be like, I'll go at like 8 p.m. instead of 6.
What's it like having your workouts constantly interrupted by fans and friends?
So most people actually don't interrupt my workouts too much.
Okay.
I think they wait till I'm usually finished. Like when they see me like kind of packing up my bag and going, they go, oh, I just want to say hi or whatever. Or, like if I'm like putting away a weight, they'll kind of stop me. It's never like a nuisance. It's never trouble. I personally love it. I love being able to connect with people in real life, especially if someone's like, oh, I've been following you since like 7K. I'm like, oh my gosh, like you are at OG. Like you've been here from the beginning. When like I used to post my videos with no music. So boring. I don't know why I used to do that. I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking? But no, it's really cool to meet people. And again, it's that fact of seeing how you've impacted their life. Whether it's like, oh, I saw this one thing you said on a story, or like you commented back to me, like knowing that those little things that I do where I comment back to everyone, answer everyone's DMs, that they do go a long way and that people do appreciate it. So it's really nice to get to know the community in person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is something that people don't realize. It's important for creators to interact in real life too.
Yeah, it's the best part, to be honest.
It's no fun sitting around a screen and just communicating with people. Like, it's doing stuff like this where you get to chat, learn, like listen to what other people have going on in their lives. You're like, oh, I'm not the only one dealing with this stuff, right? It's so much better. Even when we met on the Etobicoke Bridge like a year ago, and we chatted.
Literally, I think I was like doing like a grenade photo shoot or something. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and there's this random guy like, T, what's going on? When are you gonna come on the podcast?
And I'm like, oh, come on.
Because it was the second time I think we'd connected. Anyway, it was funny. I was just like, I was with Phoenix. We were on a walk.
Yeah.
And, she's like, David, come on, not right now. She's in the middle of a shoot. I'm like, hey, this is
an prime opportunity.
I'm like, we're in real life. This isn't just me DMing. So anyway, because obviously I had identified you as like one of the top Toronto athletes, influencers, whatever you want to be classified as, because I think it's like, well, it's important for people to see what you're capable of doing when you were only at 7,000 followers years ago, right? And like that you did post your Instagram videos without any music. Like again, people only see the finished product, and I just want to say thank you for sharing your story and being able to like open up and explain what it's like, the process, the ups and downs. Are there things that you want to share that we haven't talked about today?
I guess the most popular question I always get is like how I got started, why I get started, and like if you're someone new entering into it, like what to do. I think the most important thing about social media is being your like authentic self. I think that's what is going to resonate with everyone so much more, because everyone can tell when you're putting on a front and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, that makes it feel more like a job. Like, if you have to show up as a certain person, you have to act a certain way to be your social media persona. I think that's also what kind of makes it not fun as well, because it does feel like a job. Whereas if you just are sharing the genuine self, like you can be goofy, you can be funny, you can be sassy, whatever you want, and people are there because they genuinely like you. You don't feel like you have to please anyone. You can just show up and people really appreciate that. And so when people are like, oh, like, should I try doing this? It's like, no, don't try. Just do it. I know it sounds
embrace Nike.
Yeah. It sounds so silly. Like, just do it. Like, oh my gosh, that's such a stupid thing to say. But honestly, it's just showing up. And if you want to film yourself messing up, if you want to show yourself being super successful or just whatever, like, I think people really enjoy you because everyone's nosy, you know what I mean? Like, us creators say that all the time. It's like, you don't think people care, but like, people care about what toothpaste you use, what hairbrush you use. They just want to know more about you, and so that way you can all feel more connected.
Yeah. The what kind of toothpaste do you use?
Colgate. I'm a Colgate girly.
No sponsorship deal with them yet?
No, you know what? I would love a sponsorship deal with a toothpaste brand, because I smile all the time. I'm like, guys, I'm the perfect role model for you. And people always ask, like, oh, like, how are your teeth so white? Colgate. Come on, Colgate.
Literally, this will probably become a commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
We'll set something up. You're gonna have like a box of Colgate at your
Honestly,
door.
free floss and toothpaste would be great.
Yeah. You do have a good smile. It helps. I mean, it's brilliant. I have I have one question here that I'm curious. How do you feel when people question whether cheerleading is a sport or not?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I think people who don't think cheerleading is a sport are people who've just never been, one, acrobatic, but two, have never been part of like something where it's like a team aspect like that, because they assume the people who are only like doing the sport are the people lifting sometimes, and they consider the flyer just like, oh, you're just getting thrown up. But it's a sport, and it's so dangerous. It's one of the most dangerous sports there is. Like, I've been injured. All my injuries are from cheerleading.
Really?
None of my injuries are from anywhere else.
Wow.
I fractured my tibia and pulled my hamstring, and I got 2 major concussions during cheerleading. Everything else I've done in my entire life, scot-free. But cheerleading,
knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. Knock on all the wood. But no, cheerleading is definitely a sport. It's such a mental sport for everyone, because realistically, the person on the bottom, like, you're catching that person regardless, whether it's a knee to the face, elbow, like, you just have to be in it. And it's also a sport in the fact that it's so dynamic. Like, there's so many different parts of it. Like, you have to be strong and statically hold someone, and then go tumble like a bunch of tumbling lines, then do jumps, then do dance, and then go lift more people like 4 or 5 times within the routine. Like, that's crazy. Like, it's a lot. So
a lot's an understatement.
Yeah, and it's scary. And it's timed. I don't know. And you have to be rhythmic to the music. I don't know. There's just a lot that goes into cheerleading where I'm like, it's definitely a sport.
Yeah, I think if you're questioning whether it is, you should try it.
Yeah, just try even like level 1. Yeah. Just try level 1 for me. A level 1 2-minute-and-a-half routine, and tell me how that goes. Okay. Like, it's hard.
It's a challenge out there for anyone on YouTube. I know those haters. Go level 1, 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
Give it a try. It's hard.
Is that transition from competitive gymnastics to cheerleading, tons of crossover, difficult?
There is a crossover because it's like the acrobatic part. I wouldn't say being a good gymnast means you're going to be a good cheerleader. I do think there's more stress on team sports. Like, for me personally, the whole reason why I got into working out was because I didn't want to disappoint my team. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's like 28 other girls on this team. If I mess up, it's on me, and I'm disappointing a bunch of other people. So I do think that's a little bit different, whereas gymnastics, you're more solo.
Right.
And then also gymnastics, you just rely on yourself. Like, you're the one flipping yourself through the air. You're the one spotting your landing. In cheerleading, you have to be really trusting that if for some reason you mess up, your team is there to catch you. And you just have to fall straight. You know what I mean? Like, you don't try to catch yourself, which is very different from gymnastics, where you're like super hyper aware and you try to like make micro adjustments and balance yourself and save yourself.
Have you ever considered doing diving?
Oh, I don't like water.
No. I feel like it would cross over, right? Like, you're doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
But
actually it doesn't. So the reason why, because there used to be a diver on my kids gym or whatever that I used to go to when I was growing up, and they actually made her switch when she got to the professional level of gymnastics and diving. They're like, you need to pick one, because diving you go head first. Gymnastics you have to land on your feet, and they were like, we just never want you to be in a position where you rely on muscle memory and for some reason it takes over that you're diving to your head into the floor. So there is that safety concern. Even though they are very similar, they do make you pick at one point.
I'm glad I asked.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Something
Both
new.
those careers are off the table for me.
Yeah.
Is your favorite meal kimchi chicken and Brazilian nuts?
No, that was honestly a terrible meal.
Oh.
I don't know. I had no vegetables in my fridge that day, and I was like, I guess this is what we're eating. My favorite meal to eat is my steak and like mixed vegetables.
Ooh.
Yeah, because that's my end of my meal. It's my fattier meat.
Right.
Because I'm really sick of chicken breast.
Yeah.
Like I tried doing whitefish the other day, and I was like, no, this is not gonna do it either.
Chicken breast might be the most overrated. It's always chicken thigh. I know there's a little bit more fat in there.
I know, but I can't have it. I can either have chicken thigh, steak, or salmon as my last meal. I always
That's
choose
fair.
steak.
Yeah.
But my other meal is either a whitefish or chicken breast.
Tilapia.
Ugh, I won't eat tilapia. I'll eat cod, halibut, haddock, anything. But tilapia, to me, I just cannot digest it. I'm like, this is disgusting.
It's definitely a grind, but you got to do what you got to do. Like, I feel like you got to be resourceful and prep, like chewing a ton of gum or like just
all the water.
When
I'm hungry, I'm like, let's just jug like gallon of water to the face, and just distract myself.
Okay.
But I did know, someone told me that when you are like craving something, I don't know if it's actually science, so I could be saying complete lies right now, but a craving is only 7 seconds long. So if you can distract yourself for 7 seconds, the craving goes away. So whenever I'm like, oh my gosh, I really want a pizza, I'll like start cleaning my kitchen. Like I'll just distract myself.
You can clean in 7 seconds?
Well, no, I initiate the clean.
I just had to clarify.
Yeah, but so that's a life hack if you want to try it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems to work for me. It might be like one of those placebo effects though, but that's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
take my dog for a walk, something where I'm just like, okay, I'm craving something, just completely drop my phone so I don't look at it and go do something completely different.
I was actually kind of hoping that you would bring Rocket with you today.
I was going to ask if I could bring my dog, but I wasn't sure if I was allowed.
I know.
I should have been like, can I bring him? But he's right now like just napping.
He's just patiently waiting for you to come home.
Yeah.
What's that been like? I know it's been an integral piece of the past bit of the journey for you is raising a dog. Like that's important, you know?
It's been amazing actually. Like for me, I think he's actually made prep easier because one, I have a companion when I'm just miserable. But two, it's given me more structure to my life. Like I now go to bed earlier because quite frankly, I don't want to take him out to pee down 17 floors at like midnight. Right. Whereas I used to go to bed at like 12 or 1 o'clock. Now his last pee is at 9:30, 10, and then I go to bed. Yeah. And then I wake up, he has to go to the bathroom by 6 a.m. So I'm always up at 6 a.m. So it's given me actually more structure to my sleep schedule, which is really nice. And it's kept me more accountable for like just like simple things like getting more steps in because I don't need to go for walks, but he does. Yeah. And so we go for 2 20-minute walks and then 2 15-minute walks. So I do way more walking than I ever used to. And just, it's nice to have something that's like yours to care for. It's like a loving companion. So it's been great.
It's so cool having a pet around. We've had it with Phoenix's parents out in Kelowna.
Yeah.
They don't also necessarily help with sleep sometimes though, and I saw you're wearing an Oura ring.
Oh yes, I do wear, although I will say like I don't check it very often. I wear it just to have it if I ever do want to check it, but it's not something I check. I'm not someone who lives or dies by their Oura ring. Okay. Or even their Apple Watch, because I actually have not charged my Apple Watch since last November.
It's a nice accessory.
Yeah, but like I died when I came back from Miami, and then I was just like, I guess it's dead, and I just haven't charged it since.
It's interesting. The wearables are an interesting kind of. I like it as an accountability partner, similar to you. I'm not checking it every day though. Some people are religious about it, won't work out because of it.
Yeah, like their Whoop. Like some people are like, nope, my Whoop says I can't, so I'm not gonna. I'm like, interesting.
I wear the Whoop. I'm like, hey, personally, despite me maybe not feeling good, maybe the workout will help me make me feel better after. Right?
Yeah.
100 years ago, they didn't have access to this stuff around your wrist, and if you wanted to go for a walk or had to go get food, you had to go get food.
Yeah, or if you had to work the day and your work is manual, you know? Yeah. I feel like the Whoop is good. It tracks so much. But for me, like, I don't think if my Whoop told me, like, hey, like, you should rest today, what if it tells me to rest, like, 3 days in a row? I can't do that.
Or ahead of your calisthenics competition.
Yeah. Like, the day of my calisthenics, it tells me my recovery is 0. I'll be like, well, today's going to not be good. Like, I think it would really get in your mind.
For sure. Do you, speaking of that competition, has this prep allowed you to like, okay, compartmentalize, just like get rid of this prep and then focus on that competition after?
Yeah, so basically I was supposed to compete in July actually for calisthenics, and then we decided not to do that just because it was going to be way too much work. And when I realized I had set 2 goals like that, I look back now, I'm like, you're stupid. Like, that was very ambitious, and you did not really research too much into this.
Yeah, it wasn't. You weren't stupid. You were ambitious.
A little too ambitious without logic. So, but I am looking forward to competing in calisthenics in 2024. I think bodybuilding is going to be fun. I know a lot of people ask, like, will I continue to bodybuild? I don't think I will. I think this is going to be my pro debut. I have my card. I feel like I should have used it, so now I'm using it. And I'm going to do my first competition in October, and then the naturals on the 17th. And then I think for me, I'm good. Yeah, I miss regular life. And with the lifestyle I have, I miss being able to travel, being able to eat, hang out with friends, be social. Like, the best part about collabs, like I said, is hanging out with people. It's super boring if I'm like, hey, let's collab, and then I can have rice and chicken.
Hold on, let me bring out my Tupperware.
Yeah, like I can't go out and eat with everyone after. I'm just kind of like sick. So for my lifestyle, I do really miss that aspect. And so while I'm in this part of my life, I don't think I would continue with bodybuilding post the natural competition.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've gotten my feet wet. I've done it. I've challenged myself because that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a new challenge, and now I'm going to do that challenge, and I'm going to see it all the way through. And then after that, I'm going to be like, okay, cool. Like, we've done it. For some reason, if I fall in love with it, like I'm like, oh my God, I love being on stage, then like maybe down the road, but I definitely do want a year off where I can focus on another one of my passions, which is calisthenics, and be able to put a lot of work towards that. And again, like show up as a Canadian athlete and compete against other people from other countries and be like, this is what we can do as Canadians.
Yeah, love that. We'll be supporting you. Last question before we wrap up with the one we ask everyone. Your consistency for flexibility is something that you've preached.
Yes.
For those who are maybe struggling to get down in, the splits or even partially down to the splits, what are your recommendations for flexibility for folks?
Flexibility. So my biggest thing is do it even for like 5-10 minutes a day. Like, you don't have to sit there and do like an hour stretching sequence. That is really boring. And if you're someone who doesn't like it, it's impossible to do. Like, you just won't do it. And so do something where it's like you're like on the kitchen counter, like you just do like a lat stretch really quick, like as you're waiting for your food. Like, find little ways to incorporate it in to your daily life where it's only going to take 2-3 minutes, and then slowly, as you start to get more flexible, like we all do, we start like to do stuff that we're good at, so then we start incorporating it more and more. And I would say when you're doing your stretches, be intentional with it. A lot of us just like to be lazy and like sit in something, but even if you're going to be like in slight discomfort of like pulling your finger back and feeling that tension, that's like what you want to feel when you're stretching. So if you feel that for like 15-20 seconds, start with that, and then as you get more comfortable with that discomfort, you can go into 30-45 seconds a minute. But I think a lot of people in general, for anything fitness, like to go in like all in. They're like, I'm gonna stretch every day for an hour.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you're not. I don't even do that. You know what I mean? Like, I stretch max for 20 minutes at a time.
Okay. Wow.
I don't do really long stretching sessions because I find it boring too. And so I find ways to make it more doable for myself where it's entertaining. I'll do it when I'm watching a show on TV, or like if I'm on the couch and I'm laying down, my foot's like by my head. I'm like, sweet, I'm stretching and I'm watching TV. It's great. So
can you just do what you did with your finger there again? Because I don't think
your finger doesn't do this?
No.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Ooh, nice crack.
I was just like, okay, I had to clarify.
That's like the
okay.
you want to feel.
I got a couple of gymnasts over here around me, so I'm just making
flexible joints.
Yeah, I'll be stretching for the next 20 minutes every day for the next 6 years. But Taylor, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show, sharing insights, wisdom of your journey. The way we wrap up every episode is we ask our guest what their biggest piece of advice for the next gen would be. As someone who we've been getting on or trying to get on for months, if not years now at this point. It's the 188th episode. It'll go live in 2 days.
Exciting.
What would you like to leave our audience with?
My biggest piece of advice is find something that you can do that you have a lot of fun with, and make your passion into something that you can like eventually monetize off of, which I know sounds really like, oh my God, that's so easy. But no, really, like you can literally find anything. Like, we're in a day of age right now where it's like anyone can make anything a career, and like there's so much potential, especially with social media. And so it goes back to that just do it thing. Just be yourself, have your passion, and just post about it. And if you inspire just one person, that is enough. Like, that's one of the biggest things and one of the best feelings in the world.
I could not agree more. Taylor Learmont, where can people find you on social media so that they can continue consuming this amazing positive content that's going to get them healthier, stronger, living longer?
Little T Fitness across all social medias. Little T Fitness. And if you want to follow Rocket, because I love him and he deserves a follow, raising_Rocket with 2 T's.
And as a little plug for Little T Fitness, you're still taking on clients, correct?
I am. I take more online clients than I do in person. So online, but then also my app is the best place because I know a lot of people are like, where, like, can I train with you, blah, blah, blah. My app is, I've put so much work into it to make it exactly like how I train. And so if you guys want to achieve the things that I do, like I've put so much work into my app and I upload programs every single month. I have like actual being able to respond to you guys. So as much as I respond on DMs on Instagram, like my app is more personal and I can have full conversations, full videos, everything like that. So my app and then online.
Amazing. Thank you, folks, for tuning in to the 188th episode of the Athletes Podcast. Taylor, thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, look forward to more content of us doing flips.
Yes, coming soon.
Or trying. Hey, thanks so much for tuning into the 188th episode, for watching this incredible conversation with Taylor. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know any questions, comments you have for Taylor. We'll try and answer them down below. Don't forget to use Rooted, code AP20 for 20% off. As well, Argos TFC for you Toronto fans. Head over to the link in my Instagram to get up to 30% off those tickets. We'll see you next week for Benoit Marion's episode on the Athletes Podcast next week. Bye.